Hey guys, it's been a while. In the year of our PlayStation 1999, Sony and their third-party partners were still cranking out the hits on the little gray box that could. But more importantly, they were also still taking chances on new IPs and bringing over a variety of games from Japan. Konami just so happened to bring one of their lesser-known games to the States under the title Soul of the Samurai, a single-player adventure featuring the Ronin Kotaro and the ninja Lin. The back of the box shares the tale of a gold shipment that disappeared in the region. A spy was sent to investigate, but once they disappeared as well, the spy's sister Lin goes to investigate. Kotaro happens along Lin's path while he is investigating a strange occurrence on the way to a childhood friend's dojo. From there, the tale of treachery and horror begins. Kotaro and Lin are essentially in the same gameplay routes as Chris and Jill from Resident Evil fame. Kotaro is limited to just his swords and healing options along with more boss fights. This provides the game's hard route. Lin, on the other hand, can use ninja accessories like stars, smoke bombs, along with the healing elements. Where the Ronin has the harder path, the ninja has a more resource management angle to her with less boss fights. Depending on which character you pick will determine the areas of the map in play. In general, the village you run around in has 4 major locations: the dojo, the forest and beach, the temple, and the castle. One region in each playthrough can be skipped, but if you do go to it, it will provide you with a bountiful amount of healing items and sometimes extra story elements. Gameplay is reminiscent of the already mentioned Resident Evil games, with pre-rendered backgrounds and 3D characters running around on top of it. The world is centered around a town square that acts as a hub. There are only 1 or 2 real puzzles in the game, with Kotaro's being the hardest without a little understanding of timing and physics. The rest of the game is sword-to-sword combat as Kotaro and Lin solve their respective missions and side quests. When fighting the enemy characters, you'll be able to lock on them and then use different sword techniques to keep them at bay. As you defeat the various samurai and creatures, you'll earn experience points that will unlock bonus special moves that provide ample amounts of damage. These moves, however, are tied to what weapon is equipped, so based on that particular sword's stats, it may not be able to use some or all of the new techniques. While annoying at first, it does provide a bit of strategy and allows for personal preference rather than just constantly using this next strongest weapon. In Kotaro's case, I fell in love with the dojikiri, a sword that sets the target on fire. It's pretty hot. With Lin, I stuck with her electric shock sword since it acted as a nice stun move while I took down farther targets with her knife. It should be pointed out that while it does support the analog sticks, I only used it when running around and then switched to the D-pad for the fights. I felt I was able to pull off the more subtle attacks easier on the D-pad. The special moves you unlock are performed by rapid button presses or oddball Street Fighter-like sequences. Enemies are never more than 3 per screen, with one exception, but we'll get to that later. Crowd control is the name of the game when it comes to getting through the village, but there is an interesting spin on running from the fight. When your sword is drawn, you are locked to the area you're in with the enemies before you. If you sheath your sword, however, you can run off screen and then return with possibly weaker or fewer enemies on screen, or both. It's a nifty take on the fight or flight mechanic and adds credibility to the game's attraction for a certain type of gamer that I'll get in touch with in a few minutes. As the story progresses, Kotaro and Lin will intersect with each other at various points, tying the 2 different playthroughs together with nice little touches along the way. By example, if you play with Lin first, you'll find the dojo area destroyed with no explanation. Once you play through Kotaro's path, though, it's quite obvious what caused the destruction. Once you get to the final area, Kotaro's path will take him inside the castle on a direct path to the master of all the chaos caused in the village below. Lin's path will take her around the outside as she leaps various rooftops to meet up with Kotaro in the final room of the game. Here in the final moments, regardless of who you played with, you'll be given the choice of who to use in the endgame sequence. This choice will lock in who appears in the credits scene and whose storyline you fulfill. If you load the completed save and beat the game with the other character, it will unlock the true final boss of the game as well as the actual ending cinematic. The save screen will actually visually guide you, since an orange save means you're on the first playthrough, red means you've beaten it once with a character, and then gold confirms you've done it all. Speaking of replays, on each successive playthrough you'll keep every item and weapon you find, so if you missed out on something the first few times and still want a perfect save, you can just keep playing through the game rather than starting from scratch. Soul of the Samurai's most redeeming quality isn't the most obvious, and it's here where I tie in the previously mentioned player it's trying to attract and the one exception to the number of enemies on screen. Soul of the Samurai is an extremely short game, where a single run-through can be done in about 2 hours or less. Combined with the ability to not fight enemies, the game is ripe for the speedrunning community. The B-roll for this episode was done on my 4th and 5th runs through the same save file, and I'm only at about 6 to 7 hours across 5 playthroughs. Speedrun.com has records under a half hour to finish the game. The second part of the speedrunning angle is a built-in speedrun found right before the final moments of the game. You'll be forced into a fight against an ongoing battle with a literal horde of zombies within an unspecified time frame. There's a counter in the corner that keeps track of how many you've killed. If you're able to slaughter 300 total enemies, you'll be able to unlock a weapon quest for Kotaro and infinite knives for Lin. The best I did was 295 out of about the 7 tries reloading the save point, so if you want a challenge, it's right there waiting for you. Having finished the game literally 5 times for both the pleasure and the B-roll, Soul of the Samurai is a fun romp with some minor dents in the armor. The controls can be a little stiff, and the storyline can be mapped out on a post-it note, but it has its merit. There are also keen nice little details that keep things interesting, like your kill count meter and the little haikus the game provides as you save your progress. It's not a groundbreaking game, but there's fun to be had and a lot to unlock. On the Game-Rave review scale, it's a solid 7 out of 10. If you're looking to pick up a copy, it averages about $20 complete, and as of this recording, thankfully has no known variants. That does it for this episode, and yet another game finished, quite a few times. The quest to run through all of them continues. Any comments, questions, or episode ideas can be posted below. Be safe, especially in COVID-19 times. Play games, and I will see you next episode. Have a great week, guys. Take care.